So my design here has the face, it has the details, and it also has other parts. So you can use any types of pieces you want. So I have the keys that I play the game with and the character, I have my mouse, and I put it together so that it's all, you know, into one thing. But if you really love symbols, you could put a baseball in a sports theme. It could be, you know, a theme where you can have botanical and flowers. It could be anything you want to do. So think about that, sketch it out, and then you're going to start what we're doing today. So what I'm going to start with is the canvas, and you have your clay. So I'm going to get my clay bag. You can't roll it out unless you have the canvas underneath, because otherwise it will stick to the table and there's no going back from that. You have to scrape it off and roll it and wedge it and start again. So you need to have it like that, and you're going to take your piece, and it seems like a little bit of clay, but it's really a lot for what we're doing. So I'm going to walk you through how to start carving it, how to put it together. Not yet, babe. Okay. And how to process it. Okay, so here we go. We're going to roll it all out to about the thickness of your pinky. And think of it kind of like a nice thin pinky, though, a thin coating, because some are bigger than others.
What's this?
That's clay. You can put it right there. Okay, so right now, this is wet clay. Remember our notes, wet clay is when it's very malleable, you can do things to it, you can adhere it together. After a day of using it, it's gonna end up starting to be leather hard, where you're gonna carve into it and you can still attach pieces. So right now is the most important part. And you can, so it's gonna be a little bit about this size. And now you're gonna get ready to do the shape. So you could freehand the shape, or you can cut this out, trace it on here if it's the right size. Or if you're doing 3 small ones, 1, 2, 3. You want that?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Hey guys, this is a roller too.
yes. So I'm going to freehand it quickly. And then I'm going to show you how you can get started with all your other pieces. So I'm using a toothpick, and I know it seems a little, you know, oh my gosh, it's a toothpick when you have all these other tools here. But the toothpick is really the most controllable. And then you can sketch it, you can do all the pieces. I'm probably going to leave most of my hair to do in separate pieces later. What, babe?
You just braid it out.
Yeah. So then I'm going to cut out the shape of my hair, and then I'm going to cut out the pieces. So you can take your knife and you can cut it out, or you can just take your, oopsie.
Oh, yeah.
This is going to be a great video. It is a roller. Oh, thank you for helping me. Okay, here, can you roll this piece for me? Yeah? All right, roll that piece. We're used to doing Play-Doh at home, so he's a pro at rolling. Thank you, Cody. Okay, so I'm going to take away all my extra pieces, and I put this to the side to keep, so that way I can make all my other pieces, and this is the basic shape. And then what I'll do after I do this is I'm going to attach all my hair pieces and a mouse on the side, and I need all that for the side. So keep these flat. If you somehow smush it all together, you have to re-wedge it. You have to pack it. You have to get rid of those air bubbles. What happens without getting rid of those air bubbles? It explodes in the kiln. So you have to get rid of those air bubbles. So use your muscles and pack it down, and then you can roll it and flatten it and do things again. Okay, so we got a little bit of water, and we are going to be scratching and scoring to attach any pieces. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use my knife here, and I'm going to cut my little keys out.
Guys, have a knife.
Can you have a knife? Sure. It's the only time I'll ever say that to you. Here you go, babe.
Hey, the air's on now.
Oh yeah? So I'm gonna make like my keys to attach. What's that knife? That is a knife for clay. So I have all the keys I want to do, and I can lay it out and place it out. And then I can get ready to start putting the rest of my stuff. And I can lightly carve where I know I'm gonna put my nose and my lips and everything else. But I'm just gonna show you today how to adhere it so that way you can get started. Wow, good job.
I'm getting one out.
Okay, so if you're gonna be carving and making and creating like a nose, you can round it out with your hands and you can shape it, and just make sure you really have it packed well and you're just pushing it. You guys have drawn the noses now a lot. You've drawn your eyes, you've drawn your lips. Just try to use that information and do the best you can to make it three-dimensional. And how I can get a nice little perky nose, because that's my character. She's a gnome mage, so I'm doing a nice little cutesy nose here. And it's a little bit thick. It would be a little thick there, so I'm going to use the knife. Thank you.
I'm going to use this knife.
Okay, that's a plan. And then I could cut it and attach it. All right, so ready? I have all my pieces here that I'm going to use and attach. This is the part where I wanted to show you guys. I'm going to scratch and score. Shh, gentlemen. I'm going to scratch and score both sides. This is where if you don't do this to every single little piece, it's really bad because you won't end up, it will just smush and then it'll dry and fall apart. So you really need to scratch and score both sides where you're going to adhere it. And I'm going to move these pieces aside. And then you need to add a little bit of slip. For our purposes, you just do it a little bit of water, because when you put it on there, it's going to mix. It's very, very wet. So just a little bit of water.
Hey guys, I have clay.
You do have clay.
So can I have water?
Firmly wedge it down, and then you can use your fingers to smooth it, or you can use the back side and you can smooth it down this way. And make sure that it's firmly adhered to your piece on as many sides as you can. Okay? So I would scratch and score every single smaller piece. You can use, your toothpick. You can use the knife, anything I'm going to put on here.
Can I have a toothpick?
There we go. And then a little bit of water and smush it down and adhere it, so that way it starts to make your drawing come to life. All of the pieces separate, then attach them on, and make sure you have everything for each of your pieces. You need one additive surface at least. I have like 10, that's good. And then one minimum carved surface, which is the subtractive. So the carved surface could be the texture, can be the dots, can be my eyes, any drawings you do. And then make sure that you're trying to be creative, be fun, have fun with this, because it's just a quick project where we're gonna need to go through and we're gonna need to work efficiently and quickly before it starts to dry. And then next Tuesday we'll leave them all out, so that way over the 6-day break we'll get them bone dry. They'll be ready to go in the kiln and be fired. All right?
Why is it fire?
We're gonna fire it in the kiln. And you remember how hot it gets?
Yeah.
How hot does the kiln get?
1, 2, 3, 4.
2,000 degrees. Did you know that? 2,000 degrees.
2,000 degrees?
That's very hot, isn't it? So when you're done for the day, you slide it in, put all your pieces in. If you need an extra bag, there's some up here. And then you put a wet paper towel in. Try not to make it too saturated, but like squeeze out the water and slide the paper towel, put it on top, and then get rid of all the water. And then make sure your name's on it and you can put them away for storage. Next class, what we'll do is we're going to leave them out.
Why are you going to squeeze the water out?
So we don't want them too wet. So we're going to leave them out and we're going to put them on the shapes that we want them to dry. All right? Thank you.